Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Should Bayley turn heel in WWE? I'm Oli Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to WrestleRamble. And this all stems from the suspected swerve that, although they're teasing a Sasha Banks heel turn, at least that's what I got from this week's Raw, we might get a Bayley heel turn.
Well, it's not even just this week's Raw. It's been since the Royal Rumble, really, and in the Rumble match itself.
I would argue since Banks began on the main roster after all the...
Yep.
What was it? Summer Rae's faction? Team...
No, she wasn't part of Summer Rae's
she
faction.
not?
No, she was with Tamina and...
Was it just Team Bad?
It was Team Bad. It was Tamina and... Naomi.
Classic faction warfare. It's like welcoming committee, Team Bad,
Yeah.
Team PCB.
Well,
It was a magical time in women's wrestling.
when they look back at the classic faction wars, there'll obviously be the NWO versus the Four Horsemen. There'll be the Disciples of Apocalypse versus what were they called? The Latin American group. Damn, I forgot what they were called now. But there was like they did street gang warfare in 1998, and the DOA is the only group I can remember from that period. But yeah, it's like that, and then Team Bad,
Yes.
versus Team PCB.
Do you think like how DX is seen as the saviour of WWF in the Monday Night Wars?
Well, they started the
They
Attitude
started
Era.
it, yeah,
and
ended it.
They started. Well, not only did they start the Attitude Era, they also started the Monday Night War and finished it.
Yeah. So when WWE in 10, 20 years' time run video packages on the Women's Revolution, there'll be nothing about TNA's Knockouts division. It'll all be Team PCB and Team Bad.
Well-
And then the welcoming committee.
I mean, yeah, there definitely won't be any of that TNA footage. Although, did you see there
Well,
was?
it might have bought them by then.
Well, I was going to say, did you see there was a report that WWE are now able to use the Broken Hardy footage from TNA?
Because Matt owns it.
Yeah, so we might end up
course.
seeing TNA footage on a WWE program.
That would be the day. But they have some... I swear they got rights to use some footage in a video in the last year period.
Or are you just thinking of Dixie being on? She mentioned TNA.
Oh, yeah, it was
when-
Dixie.
It was when Kurt Angle
It was Dixie.
returned.
It was
yeah.
Dixie. So anyway, back to Bayley.
Yeah, who was this report?
This comes not from a report, but from a rampant speculation. That's my favourite kind, the rampantest. Into a advert from Madison Square Garden, the home of WWE. On the 16th of March.
I think it was Los Boricuas, by the way. For the,
Right,
Latin
I'm
American.
glad we sorted that out. On the 16th of March, there's going to be a big show at at Madison Square Garden, because they always put on a big card when they go there, because it's, Vince McMahon loves the Garden. And it's going to have like Braun Strowman versus Kane versus Brock Lesnar. Huge match that everyone wants to see again. John Cena and Nikki Bella are going to be in mixed tag action against Elias and Bayley.
So, as this kind of started some people theorising that this is going to be Bayley's heel turn, because she's going to be a heel working against babyface Nikki Bella and John Cena.
With heel Elias.
Well, or is it just because that's already a team in mixed match challenge?
So, that's what I would have thought. And I would have said that if Bayley and Elias were going to have this long run through to maybe the semis or the finals of the Mixed Match Challenge tournament. But, as we saw on this week's episode, they lost in the first round to Rusev and Lana, Ravishing Rusev Day. This is
I haven't seen mixed match challenge.
Yeah,
That's
so
spoilers.
this is a month after this live event date. It's a month after their loss here. Presumably they're not going to tag together again. If they do, that sounds like there's going to be an evil thing going on there. And it's the fact that the Garden pulled the advert and just replaced it with Cena versus Elias.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They changed it,
after
have
this,
they?
yeah.
Because
So-
I watched the video that they posted up yesterday, which was advertising the... it was on Tuesday. It was the John Cena and Nikki Bella versus Elias and Bayley, because we reported that in the news. But they've since taken that down, have they?
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
So
So some are theorising that this could be signalling that it's a Bayley heel turn rather than a Sasha Banks heel
could
turn.
be a swerve.
Could be a swerve, or it's a house show. House shows are subject to change. And house shows are out of continuity anyway.
Yeah.
Unless AJ Styles wins the United States Championship again.
I don't think it really betrays anything or reveals anything, but it does open up that question.
Should
Bayley turn heel? Have we really gotten here?
Well, I mean, you and I have discussed this before on the show. We've even done a fantasy booking warfare around a Bayley heel turn, because we discussed that Bayley is in kind of like a desperate need of a character refresh, particularly in the Raw are really pushing the women's division now. It's kind of how we talked about with Finn Balor. She's in this role at the moment where she's not the number one babyface. She might not even be the number two babyface, although I don't really know what sort of rankings you'd put people in on the women's side of things. Obviously, Alexa Bliss is your number one heel. But who is your number one babyface to go against her? I was supposed to ask you, absolutely, yeah. I completely forgot to ask you.
You're not ready for it.
I'm just not ready for her. So where does kind of Bayley fit into this? She's not one of the people that they're pushing at the moment. She's just a body on the roster. So perhaps she may as well just be Sonya Deville. If she could, maybe this will be a big character change for her. Maybe that could, revitalize her character.
But would you?
No, but then again, I wouldn't have booked her so poorly to begin with. Because
just do it better.
Just do it better. Because you saw what gold you had with her in NXT, where she could have been the female John Cena, but a female John Cena that people actually liked, that grown people and children liked and could get behind. And they just decided to kind of squander all of that and just made her look like a complete buffoon, portrayed her as kind of this childlike innocence, and it just didn't work. And people started to boo her when she got injured. Bless her heart.
And there was the whole period when Sasha was cheating to help Bayley win.
Oh, what was
and then
that
Bayley
all
didn't
about?
relinquish the title when it was pointed out that actually she won via cheating. It was very, very bizarre way to handle. It doesn't seem that hard, does it? You've got a blue-eyed baby face who believes that goodness is the right way to do everything.
The problem is those can't get over anymore.
Yeah,
pure baby faces. They just
like
don't
Johnny
exist.
Gargano. Who's cheering for Johnny Gargano?
Just can't get over these days, mate.
But yeah, they've sort of booked her to not do that, and by the time that Alexa Bliss Bayley feud with the kendo sticks, and that segment really was the suffering succotash. Nah, I'm over this moment last year around. I guess that would have been around April, May. So yeah, it is a shame for Bayley, but should Bayley turn heel? No, not for me. Not for me.
Not even now.
Not even. The only thing that's getting me, possibly persuading me down that path, is how good Sami Zayn's been. And I always thought Sami Zayn is going to be like your Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Never turn him heel. Just be a super babyface forever, because he's so good at that. But he's actually been an awesome heel. But I don't know. I think what would be better for Bayley is to just get rid of her for a bit. Like just have a few months off.
Well, we had that when she was injured. That didn't help at all.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you need to. Maybe it's gone too far down, actually.
Well, it's the Roman Reigns argument, isn't it? It's just like, Roman's just not working as a babyface, so let's just turn him heel and see if that works. But what they did instead was just like, well, let's just make Roman a bit of a badass, that he kind of acts like a heel, but he's still a babyface.
But Reigns' character is suited to a heel.
Yeah.
That's the problem there. Bayley, who's more anti-heel than the character of Bayley.
Than the one who hugs a lot.
When we did our fantasy booking all those months ago on how to turn Bayley heel, I did say put her with a sort of rock alternative boyfriend. I had her with Corey Graves.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
maybe Elias is the man.
A partnership. Well, the problem with that though is that people are starting to cheer Elias. So Elias isn't getting heel heats now because people like him doing his concerts. They like chanting along with Walk with Elias. And even when he's just like, oh, by the way, your town's smelly and it's full of like divs, then people are just like, I don't know, but Walk with Elias. We like you anyway, mate. You play the guitar and you're funny.
Yeah, but boo, you said something nasty about my hometown. So who wants to walk with Elias? Everyone, we do. Sticking with the women's division, God, it's so lady. It's more lady than ever. The road to WrestleMania, isn't it?
It's a good thing, really.
Yeah.
It's probably about time that the women's evolution / revolution / I don't know what is going to be this new turning point. Rondalution.
Rondalution.
Yeah, the women's Rondalution.
It's very lady heavy, and that's a good thing. That it's sort of, I mean, it is difficult because you've only got 10 women per brand, as opposed to like 30 male superstars or wrestlers, I should say. But yeah, they're getting a decent amount of time of it, and the stories are invested on Raw at least.
I was about to say, yeah.
SmackDown is not.
It's a different story, but it's baby steps.
Yeah.
You know, test this out on Raw to make sure that you can do it, which we know they can, and then you move that over to SmackDown. Kind of like how SmackDown's the testing ground for like graphics on screens, and then they're like, oh, this works. Let's put it on Raw.
So we've got Elimination Chamber next Sunday, which you pointed out earlier. Only 3 matches announced for.
As of this time of recording, as we know, they might have announced something on Facebook like while we're recording this.
Shane McMahon's added 4 more people to. Oh no, that's Kurt Angle's added 4 more people to the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
more chamber than ever.
So I mean, we could probably predict that Woken Matt Hardy rather will be taking on Bray Wyatt. So
the ones
what
that are
other
announced,
matches could there be?
The men's and women's Elimination Chamber matches. Yep. Asuka versus Nia Jax. Those are the only announced ones. But like you said, Woken Matt versus Bray. I think probably Galanderson versus the Revival. Maybe versus the Bar as well, because they haven't got anything. And that's all you need, because those chamber matches are going to go long. 5 matches, 2.5, 3 hours.
I was about to say, I mean, I can't think of anyone else on the Raw roster that needs a place on the card. Maybe Apollo Crews, like a number 1 contendership to the Intercontinental Championship. You could do between him and
everyone's fudged into that Elimination Chamber.
Him versus
Brock Lesnar.
Well, no, R-Truth is obviously the obvious answer. Yeah.
Okay. And maybe some. You could put like a cruiserweight tournament match on the pre-show.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Thanks. Take it, Triple H. But we have some from Sports Illustrated. Some reported spoilers about where they're going for WrestleMania, which can potentially spoil the Elimination Chamber results. So skip the next bit if you don't want to know that.
Can I ask you, and you're a big fan of Justin Barrasso.
I never said that.
Well, you like his reports and you tend to believe a lot of the stuff that he reports on.
I wouldn't say that.
No, I was going to say, do you want to go to bat? Because there are quite a few people who, especially those who don't like Dave Meltzer, that also think that Justin Barrasso is very much full of it and doesn't have any sources. So I was wondering, like, if he's a name that you don't hear a lot mentioned by the IWC. So do you want to go to bat for Barrasso? Do we want to say good things about him, or do we want to say, let's take this with a pinch of salt, like you might do a Wrestling News World?
No. I think he's up there. He's like, you've got the Wrestling Observer newsletters with Dave Meltzer, Mike Johnson at PW Insider, Wade Keller at PW Torch. What's the other one? I feel like I'm missing one. Anyway, you've got those, and then I'd say Sports Illustrated is just like a little bit down from that. But he's had enough stuff come right for me to go. There's probably stock in what he's saying.
That's what I was looking. Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
But at the same time, he'll say stuff. He'll report stuff that seems to be based on either conjecture or is flat out denied by several other places. But that's the way it works sometimes. Like recently, PW Insider and the Wrestling Observer have been very, very much reporting different things.
Yeah, well, Ryan Satin of Pro Wrestling Sheet.
Oh, that's the other one. Ryan Satin of the Pro Wrestling Sheet.
Will you put him high up?
I put him up there. But he reports true stuff most of the time.
I don't know if Satin's got his sources anymore, because like he's at the moment he's been taking time off from doing things, and then the last thing he reported was that it was going to be Leo Rush debuting in 205 Live, and then a few hours later it was Buddy Murphy. But as Dave Meltzer pointed out in the Wrestling Observer boards, is that, hey man, plans change. It could have been Rush, but yeah, it ended up being Murphy.
Anyway, Sports Illustrated have said, so spoilers coming up potentially, that the WrestleMania plans are Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax
for the Raw Women's Championship.
Yes, which means that Alexa's winning at the Chamber. I assume Nia's losing her match against Asuka, not the best way to build her up.
Well, I was thinking, about this because I was stunned when you told me this because I had actually read this in Extra Mustard that the plan was to do Alexa versus Nia for the Raw Women's Championship. But I think I just already got it into my head that it was going to be Sasha versus Asuka. That was kind of like the direction I was heading. But the way you could do this, I suppose, is to have like a double count-out finish, like a double DQ finish, just like a double knockout spot, and then because the other reported match for
That'd be
WrestleMania,
a draw though.
it would be a draw. That's what I'm getting. Well, you got to find a way to make Nia Jax look like your number one contender. And the only reason I was saying doing like a double DQ, a double knockout spot where you essentially do have a draw is because the other reported match for WrestleMania is Asuka versus Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So you can't have Asuka lose because having her lose would just be stupid at this point. But you can't have Nia Jax lose either if you're going to make her your number one contender to the Raw Women's Championship. So you've got to have a way where both of them coming out looking like number one contenders. So if you do a draw and then you're like, who really is the number one contender? Is Nia Jax going to be added to it? And then Asuka chooses Charlotte Flair instead. Then they're like, well, I guess Nia Jax is now our de facto number one contender.
I think that's a terrible idea.
I'm not saying it's a great idea, but I'm
trying to win.
They've booked themselves into a corner. If this is the direction, they've booked themselves into a corner.
You could have, the way. There's probably better ideas, but the one that springs to my mind is Charlotte just running in and going to take out Asuka, but I guess that would necessitate a Charlotte heel turn. But she hits Nia instead.
But why would Charlotte do that?
Because she's like, you got the streak. I don't know. Give us some motivation.
I mean, it's almost as if they should just do Sasha versus Asuka because that's a much more interesting match.
So those are the two women's title matches planned for Mania, according to Sports Illustrated. So, what's Ronda Rousey doing? Because PW Insider had originally said it was going to be Ronda versus Charlotte, but now it looks like it's going more the Wrestling Observer reported route of Ronda and a partner in a mixed tag match against Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. It's probably all going to be set up at Elimination Chamber next Sunday. But have you seen who the potential tag partners are?
So Meltzer's original report was that it was going to be The Rock, but there was always a big question mark hanging over The Rock. He's probably got 25,000 projects on at any one time. So he might not be able to get medically cleared, he might not be able to get the insurance. So it couldn't be The Rock. So there's lots of talk about who this replacement could be. And Sports Illustrated have said it could be... Oh, there's a lead-in for you.
So he's still in the running, apparently, because he's like, the megastar one that they really, really want to get. And it makes sense with the WrestleMania 31 stuff.
Yeah.
The other people are Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle, because you've got the stuff there with the McMahon... Oh, Luke!
Sorry.
Because you've got their stuff there with the McMahon history with Shane and with Kurt. There's the Survivor Series stuff. Luke's allergic to WrestleMania plans. You've got, because Triple H turned on both men and won Survivor Series for all the brands. Can we go again?
No.
I
was adjusting my headset.
And then the last one is... But, Shane is in the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn storyline. So I feel like he's going to go that way. Then you've got Seth Rollins. Was the other name in the mix, which seems to just be because you've got nothing to do right now, Seth.
That to me screams that's why Seth is there. And I suppose you've got the history with Triple H
and the authority,
with Steph,
yeah.
like last year. But then, like if Seth is facing Triple H or is in this match with Triple H, doesn't really seem that appealing because we've kind of already seen. Essentially, we've seen that feud end. We saw Seth triumph over Triple H and the Authority. Stephanie sort of got her comeuppance. I did some air quotes there for podcast listeners. Take a drink. So is that really... I mean, it really is a case of like, we've got nothing else for you, Seth, so we may as well put you in this role here. I think I'd prefer Braun Strowman in the role.
Well, that's the name that's missing here because he was... That was thrown around a lot with the Triple H and Braun Strowman ending the Survivor Series. Maybe that was a build into something. And what a way to get Braun over, who also doesn't seem to have a program going into Mania at the moment. Then put him in with one of the highest profile matches with Ronda taking on Triple H and Stephanie. That's a huge endorsement for him, and one that he would likely win.
Yes,
that would have been the best case scenario, but he's not in the mix here. So I guess it does come down realistically to Kurt Angle or Seth Rollins. And for me, for the same reason that I would like to see Braun Strowman in that position, I would go with Seth here, just because it makes Seth feel like a bigger deal. He can have all the press shots of standing next to Ronda as victorious over Triple H and Steph.
Yeah, I get that. I think of those names, if it's not Braun, I think I'd probably go with Angle, though. Just because you then have that stuff with Triple H that you were sort of setting up at the Survivor Series. Basically, what I would like is for some of that stuff from Survivor Series to actually pay off in matches.
Wouldn't we all?
Rather than it just be like, oh, lol, Triple H stood tall and beat everyone.
I would prefer the mainstream megastar of Ronda and the legend appeal of Stephanie and Triple H to get over your next big person.
I agree.
It's the mailbag time, which is open to all Patreon people now. You lucky Patreons, from $1 to a gazillion dollars. Thank you to gazillion dollar backer.
Whatever you pledge, you can now submit a question to us here on the WrestleRamble. All you got to do is just send us a message on Patreon. We'll collate it into our mailbag and we'll read it out on an episode of WrestleRamble.
It's the great democratization of mailbag questions. Isn't that something else? So from Connor Curran, who my sometimes dyslexic brain read as Connor's Cure, because written very similar, instead of the usual what's your favourite finisher, what do you think is the worst looking finisher? For example, the AA and the zigzag are just basic back bumps and don't look like they have much impact in finishing a match. What have you got?
So the first two that spring to mind for me are MVP's Playmaker, where you put your leg over their head and you grab their arm and then you sort of swing them down.
Yes.
It just looks like there's absolutely zero impact to the move. It's very complicated to set up. And it was always just a bit naff. And the other one is Wade Barrett's Wasteland. I always thought that match was...
That's where he just throws them down, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're on the back in sort of like a torture rack position and he just chucks them on the floor.
Yeah, not torture rack because they'd be upside down.
Sure.
Yeah, it's basically into the AA.
An AA, yeah.
And then you just throw them on
Fireman's
the floor.
carry.
Yeah. I always thought it was a bit pants, a bit weak. But yeah, the AA, man, like that's just it's a finishing move. That was a move that I think we talked about my friend on the last episode, the one who said that why don't they do a ladder match inside a Hell in a Cell where you can put the ladder on top of the cell? That guy. One of the reasons he could not get back into wrestling was because of John Cena's AA.
Wow.
Well, when it was the FU, he was just like, it's the weakest looking move I've ever seen, and it's so unbelievable.
Well, not when it's off the second rope, Luke.
Well,
they finally cut undone.
But he wasn't doing that back in 2006.
Being facetious. You know what? The AA, it's kind of like John Cena should turn heel, Raw should be 2 hours. It's just white noise to me now. I don't like the AA. I just can't even comment on it. I'm so disinterested. The zigzag that you brought up, I don't mind. I think the way Dolph delivers the zigzag with such ferocity and snap, it doesn't just look like someone's taken a back bump. To me, sometimes it looks like he's driving the person's head straight down into the ground with all his body weight. I think it looks pretty sick sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a truly devastating maneuver. It's not an earth-shattering maneuver, but I wouldn't say it's one of the worst I've ever seen.
It's a great setup move that can occasionally win a match.
Yeah.
But the super kick is so much better, I think.
Maybe treat the zigzag almost like the sling blade.
Yeah, I've got a few here.
Okay, well, 2 of those I think are very unfair.
The people's elbow and the worm.
Yes.
So, right, I was gonna, because I thought, what are the worst finishes? And I went through loads of finishes and I thought, well, the ones I don't like are ones that are really convoluted to set up. You know, like, I remember never liking, was it Tajiri when the octopus in the ropes?
Yeah, the tarantula.
Yeah, the tarantula, that's it, sorry. I never liked it because I was like, well, you could only have it on for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And you can't pin anyone off the back of it. You need the ropes to be there. You couldn't do that when you're fighting around the arena. Likewise, stuff where you have to get up onto the top rope. I don't like anything like that. The perfect finisher for me is the Stone Cold Stunner.
Absolutely.
Boom. Hit it anywhere. On anyone. Because if you're a really big guy, fair enough, you can pick up most people. Power moves are fine for a finisher. But if you're a small guy that involves picking someone up, well, that bugs me. That does get to me.
I agree.
But having said that, the one-winged angel is an example for me.
Yeah, we talked about this on the WrestleRamble Extra, the controversial statements that neither of us really like it as a move.
It looks pretty nasty the way the back of the head is driven down onto the ground like that. but it's getting them up there like that and the awkward hooking of the leg.
I think as you perfectly described it, it looks like a wrestling move in that it doesn't look like it's a believable thing. You have to your opponent has to do some of the work in order to set it up. I think like I described it as the Canadian Destroyer. Like the other guy has to do some of the work in order for it to go. Although the Canadian Destroyer is an awesome move.
Which is why I've written down here People's Elbow and Worm, because I love those moves, and those are ridiculous, and they have a stupid amount of setup that it doesn't make sense. But I really like those. So there's no clear-cut rule here, obviously. That's why I wanted to point those out.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the lethal injection, and by extension, the Oz cutter.
I was going to say, why?
I just don't feel like bouncing off the ropes and doing a handspring gives you that much more momentum to justify bouncing off the ropes and doing a handspring.
I would think Marty Scurll would argue otherwise.
Oh, just jumping into the chicken wing.
Well, yeah, no, and doing the spin around gives you momentum, mate.
Well, no, of course. The chicken wing's different. That's a submission move. You need to lock it in, get the torque. But just for an impact move, it's just, it's an RKO.
Yeah.
With some fancy acrobatics. I don't know why that gets me, and the People's Elbow is fine. I've also put down Dirty Deeds just because it's a bit lame in 2018.
Is it Dean Ambrose's?
Yes.
His double arm DDT. Yeah.
And this Dino,
Yeah.
Sorry, Naito lovers. I love Naito too. And from Curious Craig Roberts, he asks, by the nature of the name, he is curious, can you see Enzo Amore in TNA?
I think you'll find it's Impact Wrestling now.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
And we've got all bases covered.
Can I see Enzo Amore in Impact Wrestling? Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. If he doesn't go back to WWE, if all these, if the allegations turn out to be false and he's completely clear, but he doesn't go back to WWE, yeah, I could definitely see a 10A. If they could afford him, if they could meet his demands, yeah, I could actually absolutely see him going there and sleeping his way through matches.
That's an important point. Oh, that's unfair. We like Enzo's in-ring selling.
Yeah, I know, but it's people don't go to TNA to have 5-star matches.
I see what you mean. Yeah, it's important to note that this is if Enzo is proven innocent and those sexual assault allegations aren't true. Because the reason he was...
You say that, though. This is TNA.
The reason he was released from WWE is not because... It was because he didn't inform them, it seems. Not because of, been proved true yet. So his career could still come back. But it's weird that I never even thought of TNA and Enzo Amore coming together when he was released. My mind doesn't go there now. Maybe it's because TNA isn't as hot as a destination anymore. But my mind goes Ring of Honor.
But would Ring of Honor want Enzo?
That's why he's the perfect fit.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because no one would like him. Right, okay.
Just think of Enzo Amore coming out and trashing on all the Ring of Honor fans for not being... you don't really want to... You don't want to make your product seem small fry by saying you ain't WWE, yada, yada, yada. But I'm sure Enzo can make it work without burying stuff. Yeah. He's very talented on the mic. But I think he could be... Do you know that sphincter? It's Quickfire Question Round. I'm going to do the Batista machine gun thing. So, we're adding an element of time, of danger, of countdown, of tension to this. I'm going to start a timer of 5 minutes. Actually, I'm going to end... God, I should have done this before. Okay, now I've set the timer for 5 minutes. Here we go. Kevin Chappell asks, will there be an Intercontinental title picture post-Elimination Chamber?
Yes.
Yeah, of course there will.
There will be, yeah.
And I think it's going to be Miz and Finn Balor. And maybe Seth, we don't know. Azo Smith, is there a women's Andre the Giant? If there's a women's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, what will it be called and who wins?
I think they'll call it the China Battle Royal. And if Nia Jax isn't in it, I don't know. Sonya Deville.
I was going to say Sonya Deville.
Sonya Deville.
I would say Andre is Andrea. There we go. That's the female name. Andrea Memorial Battle Royal.
I'll tell you who it will be because they absolutely love her now. Alundra Blaze.
Yep, could be her too. Beth Phoenix. The Beth. Oh no, these have to be people who have passed. It's a memorial battle royal.
Yes.
Oh, God.
I forgot that bit of the title. Then, China.
Demise.
Look, we've lost a minute here. We've only done 2 questions.
So I was going to say, in the spirit of getting over new talent, I'll go the other brand. Sarah Logan, I think, could be a decent winner.
Okay.
I like her recently.
Gay meat.
Cortic X. Why would people buy WWE 2K18 WrestleMania Edition?
Because it comes with all the DLC.
Yeah, I'm not really a gamer, so I'm just going to say letters.
Yeah.
DLC. TLC. Prince of Shadows wants to know, who would win a WrestleMania match between Oli and Luke?
Well, you do. You actually go to the gym.
Yeah, but it's a predetermined sport.
Yeah, but you're more over than I am.
No. You would cheat to win. We've built a program. This is a long-term thing. You would win the first one.
Yeah.
You would cheat the second.
No, because you want to pay off at WrestleMania. So this would be like the blow-off match.
Yeah.
Which
I've actually read the question wrong. It's wrestle match.
Oh, okay.
So a wrestling match.
Yeah, but anyway, let's move on because
Yes.
we're running out of time.
Mousen Feldman. Who needs a
Mason,
new... Mason. What did I say?
Mousen.
It's like I'm giving WWE development names in the late noughties. Mousen Feldman with your name like Percy Watson. Who needs a new theme the most aside from Stephanie?
Oh, good question. Who needs a new theme?
Who needs a new theme?
Titus Worldwide.
Titus, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh,
Titus.
what, to actually tie into the Titus Worldwide gimmick. So it starts off with Titus Worldwide.
Maybe something like that, yeah.
Sami Zayn.
Yes, yeah, good shout.
Say
Excellent
the
shout.
heel Sami Zayn.
Good shout.
Alex Pearson. Favourite match stipulation?
Ladder match.
Me too, ladder match. But my lady partner hates it because she just gets frustrated that they're not climbing faster.
My wife also hates them because they're too long.
Taj Akranu, I think.
Well done.
Favourite SummerSlam match?
TLC 1.
It's definitely from SummerSlam 2000. Yeah, I agree. Oh, God, Triple H, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
I mean, the 4-way last year was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
God, the New Day Usos last year.
Yeah.
We're just going to say TLC 1 for now. Adam, here we go. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized Braun Strowmans or 1 Braun Strowman-sized duck?
The 100 duck-sized Braun Strowmans.
Yeah, just because it would be funnier.
Yeah, I kind of think of it of the fight between Ash and the mini Ashes from Army of Darkness.
Right.
So yeah, I think I'd go with that. You could just kind of swap them away. Yeah, maybe I'd go with that.
Ducks aren't that large. Oh, it's pretty big.
It's pretty big, actually.
I just want to
bigger
see
than I thought.
I'm more curious to see a duck-sized Braun Strowman, and in number.
Especially like with the helium voice. Like,
Yeah.
Hurrah!
I know they would all have the same devastating voice with their tiny little ukuleles, I guess. Joseph Shovel Brother Bradford, favourite colour?
Blue.
Yellow. I like yellow. Orange. I'm going to change it. Alex Wazer Fenton, favourite finisher of all time.
Stone Cold Stunner.
Ditto. I've already said it today. GB WWE coverage. What match closes Mania?
Roman Brock.
Roman Brock, yes, but what would you like to see?
AJ Nakamura.
Yeah. Cow. In her theme song, it's clearly stated by Michelle McCool that you're not enough for me. Oh no, just another man in love with me. What do you think is enough for Michelle McCool?
Tough question. What do you think?
What is enough? You're not enough for me. I think enough of a man. The concept, the old concept of being a man. Because there is only one man who is enough for her. And who's more manly than The Undertaker? Than Mark Calloway?
Absolutely. Yeah, ain't no grave can hold his body down. I say we do more of these because
No,
you
that's
wasted
it.
far too much time. You wasted so much time answering some of those.
That's the new. You got it. It's the gimmick.
It's not quick fire though. You spent.
It was quick
No,
fire.
it wasn't because we took 1 minute to answer 2 questions.
Quick fire is 5 minutes in total.
It's not.
Click the videos
you've
that
ruined
have
my
just
segment.
appeared on our laps to catch up with that. Because now everyone's like, oh, I might not get in. I'm like,
It takes me a long time to curate all these.
WrestleTalk news in this lap. WrestleRamble. There might not be that way round. That's why I indiscriminately point. There's videos here. Click them. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Pledge on Patreon. Luke and Ollie Davis. That was Rambling.